ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। Hare Krishna. Sorry, there was the app just crashed. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Pashtati Dishtarane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Nimlochati ha Bhagavan Sakala Jagat Kshemodayastraya Atmadyapi Mama Namriga Vadhu Nyasa Agachati.
Nimlochati ha Bhagavan Jagat Kshemo Daya Snasya Adhyapi Mana Mrigavadhu
Agachati. Read Prabhu?
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. Translation and purport. There is divine grace for the purport. Translation. Alas, when the sun rises, all auspicious things begin. Unfortunately, they have not begun for me. The sun god is the Vedas personified, but I am bereft of all Vedic principles. The sun god is now setting. Yet the poor animal who trusted in me since his mother died has not returned. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita 5.52, the sun is described as eye of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet Chakshur esa savita sakala grahanam Raja samasta sura murtir asesha tejaha yasya nyaya grihamati sambrita kala chakro govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. As the sun rises, one should chant a Vedic mantra beginning with the Gayatri. The sun is a symbolic representation of the eye of the Supreme Lord. Maharaj Bharat lamented that the sun was going to set. Due to the poor animal's absence, he could not find anything auspicious. Maharaj Bharat considered himself most unfortunate, for due to the animal's absence, there was nothing auspicious for him in the presence of the sun. Hare Krishna.
We see here lamentation of Maharaj Bharat. So this is a sign of an attachment, over-attachment. So in this material world, actually, all the objects which are not used in the service of Krishna will cause attachment. So one should be very, very particular while executing devotional service, that one should not become attached to material objects. Otherwise, they will cause misery, and eventually they will form bondage, which will tie us down into this material world. As we see here in this case of Bharat Maharaj, that this bondage will eventually lead him to attaining the body of a deer. This is the same kind of lamentation that Maharaj, Maharaj was a king. There was a king who was attached to. The king who was very much attached to this also,
His wife also.
Yeah, Maharaj Anga was definitely attached to Purvachitri. There was also another king who will come now later in 7th or 8th canto who will also be attached to Urvashi. That name I'm not remembering right now. So he's also lamenting in a similar fashion when Urvashi leaves him and goes away. So you see, and eventually what happens? Both the kings attain the planets in which their wives are residing. So, if one has already executed so much of austerity, one could have easily pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But instead, they have asked for material benediction and they have become entangled in this material existence. Yes. Any questions or comments here?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. The narration is there, and there are every reason we have to believe it. But do we have many cases like this? One can be so intimately get abased with something.
Yeah, everyone. Practically all of material world. Otherwise, why should one be at home after the age of 50?
But that is
So-
one point. Main thing is even today in the world, it is said that nobody bothers about each other.
Because they are too attached to their own senses, too
Exactly.
attached to their own sense gratification. So, which is even worse. Maharaj Pururao, thank you, Prabhu. So Pururao was attached. So you see, so today people have become so sensual that they have even neglected their dharma. In the previous ages, even if husband and wife were fighting, they would just stay together. But today, for a little thing, there is divorce. But divorce doesn't mean that they have become liberated. Divorce means that they are searching for another partner.
Yeah.
Or if they live alone, they'll live alone because they realize that they are too selfish to share their life with anybody else. So the objective is sense gratification, no higher cause. So which is even more sinful.
I quite agree with you. But this is the situation today.
Yes.
I know that right now in India, I don't know whether you know that episode or not, where a person got his wife educated after marriage.
Oh yeah, I heard that
And
case.
she became SDM. And then she wanted to divorce her husband because now she is in love with somebody else. Now, seeing this thing now, come to now, it is not one case. There are many such cases. And right now, the position is that from a center of Paryak Center, 84 husbands came and they had taken out their wives whom they sent for studying higher.
Well,
So this
actually,
is total materialistic and deceiving your own persons. Whom can you believe today?
actually, I know one case also. There was one lady here. She came from South India, and her husband had sponsored her education. So the husband sold some ancestral property and sponsored her education in Sweden. So this lady came here and she completed her masters, and then she immediately filed for a divorce. And she started living in with some Swedish man. And the husband had sold off all his property and everything. She just took away all that money, and she even filed for a domestic harassment case or something and filed for a divorce. So of course, eventually something happened and she passed away 3 years ago. So this is very common material world.
Yes, this is gross materialistic and real hellish. Little bit of trust was left mostly with the husband and wife. Even that is gone now.
Yes, because this whole husband-wife thing is now based on sense gratification.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everything is based on sense gratification. So wives are abandoning husbands, husbands abandon their wives. So previously that was not the case. Even till 20, 30 years ago, this was not the case. But now it is very common.
Very common.
So
Anyway,
just naturalistic. This is not a sign of detachment. This is a sign of over-attachment.
That's right. I think it's right in the scripture. Now Kali Yuga is coming now. It's 5,000 years. 5,000 years from hence. What will situation one cannot even imagine.
Yeah, the terrible times.
Anyway, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji, you have something.
Ji Prabhuji, Hare Krishna ji.
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
I'm just relating this. So this relates very well to anything, any relationship, not necessarily. Here he's talking about he's attached to animal, but we are talking about Bharat Maharaj, who is a person who was able to see Krishna everywhere. Like he was about to render loving service to Krishna. So Maya being so strong that he's not able to see Krishna now, rather he's lamenting that even the sunrise where he could be doing his stuff, his sadhana, He can't even focus because nothing seems auspicious to him. This is our stage, right? This is where we are. If anything negative per se, not favoring our senses happen, we are lamenting the way Bharat Maharaj is lamenting. So what can be done in order for us to get out of this? Because this is us.
See, helpless surrender. Helpless surrender. Helpless surrender. What does that mean really? We have no capability. We have no ability to execute devotional service on our own. Maya can destroy us any moment. But Krishna holds us up with his mercy. That is how we should understand this. See, Krishna.
So, one thing though, if I want to share, when that happens, when Krishna is actually protecting us, or somehow Krishna is saving us from a situation, isn't that devotee feels more ashamed?
I didn't get you.
Isn't it that the devotee feels more ashamed? Okay, now, I asked for help and now he's helping me, and now it's more ashamed situation.
Yes, helpless cry. That is total surrender. Sarva dharmana parityajya mama ekam sharanam vraja. Yes, because Krishna, we need Krishna, but we should not ask Krishna for any material help. Then we should not think, now Krishna will save me. Okay, Krishna will save my family. Okay, Krishna will help me grow my family, my business. No, that we should not ask Krishna. Of course, if you're a devotee, Krishna would possibly help with that also, but we should not ask for such things. Like just today, this Keshan Prabhu's lecture, we were just talking about this Sutapa and Prishni. So they're the same thing, they ask Lord, a son as good as Lord. So, that's not a good thing to ask the Lord. Like you have the Lord in front of you and you're asking for something material.
Thank you, Ji. Just wanted to hear what could be done. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So we continue text 20. Api swid akrita sukritam agatya mam sukhayishyati harina rajakumaro.
Api swid akrita
sukrita agatya mam sukhayishyati harina rajkumaro.
विविध रुचिर दर्शनीय निज मृग दारक विनोदैर असंतोषम स्वानाम अपनुदन.
विविध रुचिर दर्शनीय निज मृग दारक विनोदैर संतोषम स्वानाम अपनुदन. May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna, Shri Prabhupada Ji ki jai. Translation: that deer is exactly like a prince. When will it return? When will it again display its personal activities, which are so pleasing? When will it again pacify a wounded heart like mine? I certainly must have no pious assets, otherwise the deer would have returned by now. Purport: out of strong affection, the king accepted the small deer as if it were a prince. This is called moha. Due to his anxiety over the deer's absence, the king addressed the animal as though it were his son. Out of affection, anyone can be addressed as anything. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Moha, affection. So this is like, a materially afflicted person talks like a madman. Srila Prabhupada writes in Bhagavatam purports. So here there is excessive material affliction. Now he is referring to the calf as a prince. It's just an animal of the forest, a creature who has taken that kind of a birth because of past sinful actions. Now a person has become so attached. So this is anxiety over deer's absence. So in this material world, the more attachments we have, the more anxiety we'll have. And the more anxiety we'll have, the less we'll be able to focus on Krishna. That's why you see, anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulasya varjanam. That's why Rupa Goswami is saying, pratikulasya varjanam. We have to give up things which are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. So this is actually a perfect example. That something which is not connected to Krishna can actually become a cause of our forgetfulness. Now this deer, like there was really no significance of deer in this pastime. But Maharaj Bharat became overly attached to him. And because of that, now he has completely lost his composure also. Hare Krishna. Yes. Any questions here? So you see, this is something that we should meditate on. What are we attached to? What is it that drives us mad? Family, possessions, what is it? So we should always consider our position, and then we should see how fallen we are really. That's a good exercise to keep us humble. That's also a good exercise to help us advance further in bhakti, knowing very well the temporary nature of this material world. Okay, we continue text 21. Kshvelikayam mam mrisha samadhina nilita drisham prema samrambhena chakita agatya prashad apurusha vishangrane vishanagrena luthati.
Samadhimanam Sam Premah Samadhina
Prem saram Chakit agatya prashd purush dishan grena ruddhati.
Hear it too?
Yes, Hare Krishna. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Janvat Panna. Translation purport by Sri Prabhupada. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Alas, a small deer, while playing with me and seeing me, feigning meditation with the closed eyes, would circumvent me due to anger arising from love, and it would fearfully touch me with the points of his soft horns, which felt like drop of water. Now King Bharat considers his meditation false. While engaged in the meditation, he was actually thinking of his deer, and he would feel great pleasure when the animal pricked him with the point of his horns. In meditation, the king would actually think of the animal, and this was but a sign of his downfall. Hare Krishna, Pavitra Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, thank you. So this is like this is something which is like a sign for us also. What do we think while chanting?
Exactly.
So, so many times, while chanting is like our time for planning. We plan everything there. How will we plan our holidays? How many payments we have to make? What are the bills to pay? How to, how to educate the children, how to fix the house, what property to buy. All these kind of thoughts come to our mind during chanting. I know of devotees who do entire planning during their chanting sessions. So this is actually a fallen state of affairs. Chanting means we are talking to Krishna. So Krishna is sitting in front of us. We are not going to talk nonsense with him. So while we are chanting, we should not think of nonsense. We should pray to Krishna in that time. If we have nonsense thoughts, we should pray to Krishna to protect us from nonsense thoughts. So looking at this pastime, we should consider our own situation. So here you see, now King Bharat considers his meditation false. While engaged in meditation, he was actually thinking of his deer, and he would feel great pleasure. This was but a sign of his downfall. So if we are thinking of anything other than Krishna, then we are not actually executing Krishna consciousness. We are actually just in Maya. We are just thinking of something. We are not thinking of Krishna. So that is actually a fallen condition. So now, knowing this pastime, we should focus on our own spiritual life and see how we can get out of Maya. So you see, if we are thinking of any other thing besides Krishna while chanting, we are fallen. It's not just a question of, training our mind. It's actually a condition of a great fall down. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
In this material world, where we are so fallen, and I think still we feel that we are lucky that we have got this opportunity to grace Prabhupada, that we have the mala in our hand. The question is, but then how to 2 hours? Try to concentrate. What you said is perfectly all right. Maybe that we are not as wide in planning 2 hours for everything. But even one mala, I think about 2-3 wide points will come in the mind, they pass through. But this is normal procedure. Then how to concentrate to get a better achievement?
So you see, Prabhu, point is like this, that so Srila Prabhupada explains this. He says, see, in the beginning, when our mind is still like disturbed or something, we may not be able to concentrate for 2 hours straight. But what we have to do in that case is, we should break the chanting. Okay, chant 4 rounds, then you read something, then you chant 4 more rounds, then you can again read something. Like this you chant. Prabhupada himself used to explain. So Prabhupada also used to chant 16 rounds. So he would say that, I would, in the morning, I would get up and chant 4 rounds. Then I'd do my morning duties. Then I would, in the daytime, I would chant 4 more rounds. Then I would come home and I would chant the remaining rounds. So Prabhupada has explained like this, that within the day, he would chant 16 rounds. So, we have to understand here that chanting should be done with great focus. So if a grahastha has many duties to perform, he can break this chanting into parts and chant the rounds with a peaceful mind. Chanting is more important than, finishing them in 1 or 2 hours or something like that. Prabhupada used to say that, no, don't try to rush while chanting. Chant with great deal of focus and affection.
Sure, Prabhu, I think. Thank you.
Yes, we continue. Text 22. Asadita havishi brahishi dushite mayopalabdo bhita bhitah sapadya.
Rishi Kumar
Uparath rasa Rishi Kumaravad avahita karana kalap aste.
Rishi Kumar Hit Karan Kalap Aste.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, am I ready, Prabhu?
Yes, please.
Translation. When I placed all the sacrificial engravings on the kusha grass, the deer, when playing, would touch the grass with its teeth, thus pollute it. When I chastised the deer by pushing it away, it would immediately become fearful and sit down motionless, exactly like the son of saintly person. Thus, it would stop its play. Purport. Bharat Maharaj was constantly thinking of the activities of the deer, forgetting that such meditation and diversion of attention was killing his progress in spiritual achievement. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, meditation and diversion of attention, forgetting that such meditation and diversion of attention was killing his progress in spiritual achievement. You see, anything we think of besides Krishna will kill our meditation. Anything, So family, property, education, careers, these are just distractions. Narottam Das Thakur says, Jnana Kand, Karma Kand, Jnana Kand, Kevala Vishera Bhan. Anything in this material world that is not directly connected to Krishna is actually a mere distraction. Sometimes people say, oh Prabhu, I'll take up a great job, then I'll serve the temple by giving donation. So you just serve the temple by serving the temple. You don't really need to work 12 hours a day, work very hard, earn a lot of money, and then give some portion. That is nice. I mean, it's not bad, but your consciousness is spoiled. So you're just getting some punya kind of thing. You're not really deriving the benefit of bhakti. So one has to serve Krishna. One has to render devotional service. That will purify one. So direct devotional service. Bhajtam priti purvakam. So if it's not, then it's a distraction. So here, of course, it's an extreme example of deer, but we can see that anything we think of besides Krishna becomes a cause of our distraction and becomes a cause of our fall down from the highest standards of bhakti. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments here? So we continue text 23. We can just take these verses a bit fast because this is just up to verse 26. Actually, we can just go quickly. Kim va are acharitam tapas vinyanaya yad idam avani.
Kimva are
Acharitam
tapas tapavnyanaya yadiya manavani.
Madani.
Savinaya Krishna Sara Tanaya Tanutara Subhaga Shivat Makhara Khura.
Devani
Savinaya Krishna
Tanaya
Tanaya
Subhaga
Bhaga
Subhaga Shivat Makhara Khura.
Pada Panktibhir Dravina Vidhura Turasya Krapanasya Mama Dravina.
Pada Panik
Kura pada
Kripanasya mam Drivana Padvim.
Padavim Suchayantya Atmanam Cha Sarvatah Krita Kautukam Dvijanam Swargapa Varga Kamanam Deva Yajanam Karoti.
Padvim Kritukam Dvijam Swarga Apavarga Kamanam Devaya Janam
Kamanam
Karoti.
Deva Yajanam Karoti.
May I read, Prabhuji?
Yes, please.
Translation. After speaking like a madman in this way, Maharaj Bharat got up and went outside. Seeing the footprints of the deer on the ground, he praised the footprints out of love, saying, "O unfortunate Bharat, your austerities and penances are very insignificant compared to the penance and austerity undergone by this earth planet. Due to the earth's severe penances, the footprints of this deer, which are small, beautiful, most auspicious and soft, are imprinted on the surface of this fortunate planet. This series of footprints show a person like me, who am bereaved due to loss of the deer, how the animal has passed through the forest and how I can regain my lost wealth. By these footprints, this land has become a proper place for Brahmanas who desire heavenly planets or liberation to execute sacrifices to the demigods." Purport. It is said that when a person becomes overly involved in loving affairs, he forgets himself as well as others, and he forgets how to act and how to speak. It is said that once a man's son was blind since birth. The father, out of staunch affection for the child, named him Padmalochana or lotus-eyed. This is the situation arising from blind love. Bharat Maharaj gradually fell into this condition due to his material love for the deer. It is said in the Smriti Shastra, Yasmin Deshe Mriga Krishnas, Tasmin Dharman Ivodhata. That tract of land wherein the footprints of a black deer can be seen is to be understood as a suitable place to execute religious rituals. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. So, Smriti Shastra says, Yasmin Deshe Mriga Krishnas Tasmin Dharman Ivodhata. So, yeah, so you see, like, this is a kind of a ritualistic thing that, where these deer footprints are, then that's an auspicious place. But here in this case, Maharaj Bharat. Now, you see, this is a very interesting point here. Bharat Maharaj is using this particular line here, that this place has become auspicious because the deer has walked through. But The sages would also think the same way. Smriti Shastra says the same way, but not for the same reason. Not that the sages have some great affection for deer or something. It is said like this, the sages speak like this because it is just a fact. So not that the sages would seek out deer and then worship them. But here in this case, Maharaj Bharat is speaking like this only out of affection. So while it's a fact that land becomes auspicious, but in this case, Maharaj Bharat is just feeling some attachment to the deer. Therefore, he is praising this way, which should not be the case, which should not have been the case. Because Maharaj Bharat is a renunciate. What is the question of him performing ritualistic activities? He's not here to execute religious rituals. Now he's here to renounce the whole world. But still he's talking like this. So we can see that actually he's become blindly attached to the deer. So this is like, Maharaj gradually fell into the condition due to his material love for the deer. So Maharaj Bharat is not speaking from a scriptural injunction point of view. He's just speaking out of his personal affection. So sometimes we also say, oh Maharaj, actually, Prabhu, my family life is very auspicious. My family is all devotees. They all chant, they all do this. So Bhakti Vinod Thakur writes in Jaiva Dharma this way, that in the beginning when a neophyte devotee comes to Bhakti, then he thinks, okay, I will make my whole house into Vaikuntha. I will convert all my family members to devotees. Then my whole house will be Vaikuntha. In this way, I will go back to Godhead. But gradually he realizes that this is an illusion. And then he gradually reaches a stage where he plans to renounce the household life. So you see, to think that, oh, my family life is so auspicious because, I'm executing religious activities, I'm executing bhakti, that is just a sign of affection. If one feels so much happiness on family executing bhakti, one can execute bhakti with sadhus also, if bhakti is the cause. So in reality, it is our attachment to our family, which we are justifying by using bhakti as an excuse. So it is certainly good if a family is executing bhakti, but it is not ideal. Ideally, a sadhaka should not be with the family, but rather he should be in a solitary place executing his religious activities. Executing his transcendental activities. So you see, this way we can see how we are also attached in this material world. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhavji. Renouncement. I agree. Whatever you say, I fully agree with that. But what after renouncement? In present day, you have to live till you die, no? Where will we go? Even if he leaves his family, it means he will have to hire a house somewhere to live.
Yes.
And then about what to do after that? He has to cook, he has to go do the shopping, other things also. So how the renouncement will come?
So
at least with the family, he was somehow adjusting and they were giving some coverage to that. But in this thing, I wonder how the single person, and suppose he's around 80 and all, advanced age, how will he manage?
Yeah, so example is Srila Prabhupada. He left home, he rented a small room in Radha Damodar temple, and he started executing his bhakti there. He would cook for himself. Srila Prabhupada also used to cook for himself. So he would just maybe once or twice a day, he would cook for himself and then he would take that prasad. The remaining time he would spend in translating Bhagavatam. And then probably back to Godhead.
Certainly, absolutely. Exception.
So if one really wants to leave home, that is one recourse. Another thing is that, one can stay at home and withdraw from family and social activities.
I think that is what is right. Because withdraw and then try to adjust with that. Because you cannot keep on fighting with every family member. They will not like your activities and all that. So let them say anything, but you restrict to that I will put my whole time and attention to Krishna.
Yeah.
Maybe it is faulty and all those things. May have a lot of mistakes to do. But I think that is the course. He asks for the pardon from God. Look, I made mistakes. Kindly bear with that. That's what is present day time.
Yes.
That's my feeling.
Right. So,
thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, any reason why this deer is considered so auspicious? Because even for meditation, they say that you use a deer skin and sit on that.
Not any particular reason. I mean, deer is just like an animal, like animal, auspicious animal and inauspicious animals. Like for example, pigs and goats. Goats are also considered inauspicious. The
Pigs,
dogs, horses,
dogs.
camels, and asses. So, like if we talk of even milk-giving animals, cattle, or I don't know, a goat comes in that category, but goat is a milk-giving animal, but still it is considered inauspicious. But on the other hand, buffalo is neutral, cow is auspicious, so deer is also auspicious. There's no specific reason why it is considered sanctified.
Peacock is auspicious.
Yeah. So one thing we could say is that they may be considered auspicious because deer typically are auspicious animals, so they wander in those places which are auspicious. So like their places are in Sattvagun, that's why deer are kind of populating that place.
Because I used to think that they used to use this deer skin or tiger skin for meditation in the forest because they have certain pheromones which are chemicals produced by the skin or which are present on the skin which repel insects.
Yeah,
I don't know
writes that
this
also.
much.
Yeah, they do. Like deer skin and tiger skin, they repel those crawling insects and animals like snakes and all.
This
Because
auspiciousness angle I did not know. So
yeah, but then again, tiger footprints are not considered auspicious.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
Yeah. So text 24. अपि स्विदसौ भगवान उडु पतिर एनम मृगपति भयान मृत
Api Savid Bhagwan Udu Pati Udam Margapati Dhyanan Mrita.
मातरम मृग बालकम श्वाश्रम परिभ्रष्टम अनुकंपया कृपण जनवत्सलः परिपति परिपाति
Mataram Balakam Swasrama Paribhrashtam Anukampaya Kripana Jana Vatsala Paripati.
Maharaj Bharat continued to speak like a madman. Seeing above his head the dark marks on the rising moon, which resembled a deer, he said, "Can it be that the moon, who is so kind to an unhappy man, might also be kind upon my deer, knowing that it has strayed from home and has become motherless? This moon has given the deer shelter near itself just to protect it from the fearful attack of a lion." 25. Kim vatmaja vishlesha jwara dav duhana shikhabhir upatapyamana.
Kim Vatmata Jwara Tava Dikhabe Mana Upatmana.
हृदय स्थल नलिनिकम माम उपस्रत मृगी तनयम शिशिर.
Naninikam Mama Upasrata Tanam Shikira.
शांतानुराग गुणित निज वदन शलिलामृतयम मृतमय गभस्तिभे स्वध यतीति च.
Sanatan Agura Gundan Nija
Maya Gavatka Vadya Richa.
Very true.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, translation provided Sri Prabhupada. After perceiving the moonshine, Maharaj Bharat continued speaking like a crazy person. He said that dear son was so submissive and so dear to me that due to his separation, I am feeling separation from my own son. Due to the burning fever of this separation, I am suffering as if inflamed by a forest fire. My heart, which is like the lily of land, is now burning. Seeing me so distressed, the moon is certainly splashing its shining nectar upon me just as a friend throws water on another friend who has a high fever. In this way, the moon is bringing me happiness. But according to Ayurvedic treatment, it is said that if one has a high fever, someone should splash with the water after gargling this water. In this way, the fever subsides. Although Bharat Maharaj was very aggrieved by the separation of his so-called son, the deer, he thought that the moon was splashing gargled water on him from his mouth, and that this water would subdue his fever, high fever, which was raging due to separation from the deer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad. Thank you, Prabhu. So we can see in this material world, if we have excessive attachment, then when that attachment breaks, it becomes a cause of great pain. So, and you can imagine the time of death when all the attachments are breaking at the same time. Now, you see, like in this life, we lose some family member, we lose some personal item, we become so aggrieved. Now, at the time of death, everything is being taken away instantly, and we are fully conscious. So it's not that we just go to sleep or something. It's not like that. So these attachments will become the cause of our bondage. Here, one baby deer became the cause of bondage for such an elevated soul like Bharat Maharaj. So we can see what is our position. We are not even self-realized. So therefore, we have to be extremely particular. We have to be extremely particular in our activities. Very careful, with what we do, what we think. We have to try to purify ourselves with every moment of our waking hour. Hare Krishna. Yes. Any questions or comments here? Okay, so we stop. Then tomorrow we continue. We'll continue and we'll try to finish the chapter. Okay, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.